Networking is one of the most important skills and events in some cases when it comes to a person's success. So if you're one of the people who are looking to build that skill or just want to learn more about networking, I have the perfect episode just for you. Just stay tuned to After the Music.
Welcome to the Lazenby Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Lazenby, and I'm here to help you along your journey to your success. I will do this by sharing my experiences, as well as give tips and tricks I've learned through my current journey to receive my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. Throughout this season, I'll be covering topics including myths about college, transfer advice, networking, and much more. So get your pen and paper ready as we dive into each episode to take in something that gets you closer to your success.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Lazenby Experience Podcast. We are winding down season 2. We have this episode and one more episode next week. And I just want to say thank you to those who have tuned in every week to all the episodes and listened to what I had to say and hopefully took something out of it. And if this is your first time listening in, I would really appreciate it if after you listen to this episode, you go back and listen to the other episodes within the season and even go further back and listen to season 1 if you haven't done so. But like I said, we are in season 9. We are in season 2, episode 9, where I will be discussing networking. This is networking 101. I will give you 5 things I think you should know about networking. But before I get into those 5 things, let's have a little story time. So in my humble opinion, I believe networking is probably one of the most important skills, events, things to do to help you become successful in whatever you want to become successful in. I do not believe in the self-made millionaire status that people are given or giving themselves. One, there's no way for you to, I don't think there's a way for one person to make $100,000, let alone $1 million by themselves. Because of course if you're starting a business and it become $1 million business, you become a millionaire. Maybe you did start that business by yourself, but I don't think for you to get to the millionaire status, you can have taken it by yourself. You will have to find other people that believe in the mission and believe in that goal to help you push it to the next level. And a lot of times, in order to find those people, you have to network. So I want to give 2 quick stories about 2 times I went networking that helped me in the future, or helped me get to where I am right now. So my first story I want to talk about is when I was, of course, is a Nesby story, just in case you was wondering. But around the time that I was about to get my associate's degree, I was still a part of Nesby at my first school, even though I was going to the community college. That was that was a little ways away from NIU. I was still a part of the chapter. One, because the Kishwaukee, the community college that I went to, didn't have a chapter, and I wasn't trying to create a chapter at a community college because I had a lot I was already trying to focus on. But I was still a part of the Nesby chapter at NIU. And one of the events that we end up going to, so within Nesby, we have pre-collegiate chapters, which are called Nesby Junior. We have collegiate chapters, which is basically Nesby chapters. And then we have professional chapters, which is called Nesby Professionals. And there was an event that we had, our Nesby chapter had, with a local Nesby Professional chapter. It was kind of like a happy hour kind of thing. We were at this bar/restaurant. We had this whole area to ourselves, and it was basically maybe 10 of us from the NSB chapter at my school and maybe 10 or so professionals who were also there. So it was a lot of people there to network and talk with and learn from and potentially continue working together after. So at this event, I met with someone who I believe he got his PhD in like chemical engineering or something like that. But he was working at a company, and at the time I was interested in getting my PhD. So he was one of the people I talked to probably the most at the event. And of course, after the event was over, or as the event was coming down, I made sure I got his contact information, and I asked him, can I contact you if I need help with anything? Because I was in the process of transferring schools, and I wanted to just make sure like my resume looked good, that my essays looked good, and that kind of thing. And I felt he was the perfect person to help me with that. So because I decided to go to this event, I was able to find a mentor that helped me. Like, I believe he wrote me like a recommendation letter. He looked at my resume. He sent me his resume just to have something like a template to look off of. And he pretty much answered any questions that I had. And I think he was, at that time, was able to kind of help me look for like internships and co-ops too. So that was one networking event that I attended that I got a mentor out of. And then the second story was kind of like the same thing, but it was at when I moved to Indianapolis, here where I'm at right now for school. And every summer there's this conference. It's called the Black Business Expo, I believe. And then they have a whole bunch of different events, but one of the events is like a conference. And they have a whole bunch of workshops that you can go to. So one of my first years that I got here, one of my first summers that I got here, I decided to go to the conference part of it because one of the workshops was talking about business or how to start a business. And they had different people from different, industries. And one of them was like, they had people from the bank, they had people who had their own businesses and that kind of thing. And there was this one guy who was also on the panel that he owned his own business. And I got there a little late, but I got there, I guess, just in time, really, because I got to hear about his story and how he got started with his business. And that really kind of resonated with me. And I was like, if he can do it, I feel like I can do it. But I feel like if he was there to help me, I can definitely do it too. So after the panel was over, I waited because there were a bunch of people who wanted to talk to the different panelists on that was on the panel at that workshop. But I waited in line, and then once it was my turn, I came up to him. I let him know my name, that I went to school working on my degree in electrical engineering, and that I was really fascinated with how he started his business. And I would really like if I can get your contact information so we can potentially meet, or I can contact you in the future. He gladly gave me his business card, and that started a relationship that ended up helping me do different things. Even though I didn't finish everything that I wanted to get out of the relationship, no faults to him, I was able to get a lot of great information from him. And he had a lot of other connections that when I do what I say I was going to do, I'll be able to contact him, and he can put me in contact with other people who can help me bring my project that I was bringing to him to reality. We didn't just email each other. We actually met in person after the conference. Like, we went to Starbucks. I think we talked over the phone a few times. Like, this was a great event that I went to that led me to meet this business owner that helped me move to another level of a project that I wanted to work on, that I'm continuing working on. And I will be able to continue to contact him to this day to help me in the future. So those are two of the stories that I want to talk about how networking helped me. But now I want to get into those 5 things I believe everyone should know about networking. And with number one, the first thing you probably should know is, what is networking? So I believe this is, I came up with this definition. I'm pretty sure there's other definitions out there, but this is what I feel networking is having meaningful conversations with people in order to build relationships and connections for a specific purpose. So that purpose can be a lot of different things. It can be to find a job. It can be to find a partner for your business. It can be to find customers for your business. It can be even just to find friends or like-minded people that you can hang out with on a regular basis. So networking, there's a lot of different aspects to it. This is not just to build a business. That's definitely one thing that you can definitely do, but there's a host of other things as well. And then the other thing, I believe networking, it doesn't have to be at a specific event or location. It can be talking to someone at a grocery store or talking with someone at the library or something like that. And I'm going to get more into that as I talk about these other things as well. So number one, what is networking? Basically having conversations with people with the purpose to build relationships. So going on to number two, what are the benefits of networking? So the first benefit that I came up with is to build a group of connections that can be helpful to you in your future and vice versa. So when you're networking, you shouldn't be just looking for someone to help you, but you should also be looking how you can help others as well. And that's how you build relationships. That's how you build a community around you. Number two, can help you land your dream career or work at your dream company or get your dream, like I said, dream career. Like at career fairs, you're networking with recruiters. Sometimes at networking events, it might be any informal networking event, but there might be somebody who work at a company that might not have been looking for an employee at that event, but because of your conversation, he realized there's a position open that you might fit, and he or she gives you their contact information so you can fill out an application and be one of the people that they interview for that position. So you never know what's going to happen at a networking event. Number three, can help you find a partner for a business, get feedback on your business, and even find customers. So like I said, there's a host of things that can happen at a networking event. It really depends on what kind of networking event it is, which I will talk about later as well. Number four, the fourth benefit of networking, you are potentially able to help someone else, which can help build your credibility on a subject. Like I said just a few seconds ago, networking shouldn't be just so figuring out how you can get something out of it. It should be also how you can help someone else get to where they want to get, because again, it builds your credibility. It helps you again build your community, and it helps make you look like an expert within that field or within that industry. And then the fifth thing that I came up with of the benefit of networking is getting to know people in your community and what things are going on or might be going on within your community. Now, this past summer, I actually went to a Juneteenth social event. It was basically a Juneteenth networking event. And at this event, they had music. They had artists. Like, they actually had somebody, while everyone was like networking and stuff, was painting this painting on a canvas. And at the end of the event, she finished, and it actually looked really nice. So we got to see that. They had this like booth where you can take photos. And then they also had this one guy that I met that has a gallery in the Indianapolis area that he showcased basically artists every month, and people can come look at their artwork. They have like a guest speaker series, or they get an opportunity to talk about their art pieces and potentially have people buy their different art pieces. So I was able to talk with him, and he actually was, I let him know that I was a photographer, because he said he was a photographer too. So we kind of talked about that. But he also told me that if I ever wanted to showcase any of my pieces at his art gallery, I can just let him know. So of course I got his contact information. I started following him on Instagram. He started following me as well on Instagram, and I'm building this relationship. So once I get to the point where I do have art pieces that I want to showcase, I have someone where I can actually showcase it and potentially sell it to people within my community. So that's, again, one benefit of networking. Those are 5 benefits that I think are important when it comes to the benefits of networking. But let's move on to number 3. Some people might have trouble with how to network. You might know it's important to do it. You might know the benefits of it, but you might have trouble figuring out how to network. So number 1, if you are going to a networking event, first you want to do is know the purpose of that event. So sometimes networking events have a specific purpose. It might be for small businesses. It might be for artists. It might be for teachers. It might be for whoever. So you want to know that purpose so you can have something, some points you can talk about or have so you can feel comfortable within that environment once you get there. For example, if the networking event is for small businesses, everyone will likely have a small business or want to talk about small businesses. This will help you figure out some talking points ahead of time and to potentially bring your business cards. And I probably shouldn't say potentially. No matter where you go, really, you should probably, if you have business cards, you should bring it. Because like I said, you never know where you might meet somebody. You can network with someone at the library or the grocery store or anywhere you go, really. And if you have business cards and you find someone that you want to continue being in contact with, that's one of the easiest ways to stay in contact with that person. But of course, we all are tech savvy and have all this technology in the palms of our fingers with our phones. So you can always exchange contact numbers with your phone on social media and that kind of stuff too. But having a business card can make it easier transaction if you don't have much time to just sit there and give them your information. You can just give them your business card and then they can follow you and save your contact information later. Number 2 of how to network, you should have 1 or 2 ways to introduce yourself and to start a conversation with people. Now, this doesn't have to be a long paragraph or a monologue or anything like that. Just something so you can feel comfortable again talking with people and coming up to people and starting a conversation. This will definitely help for introverts. This is, like I said, this is something that I do. Like I said in past episodes, I'm definitely an introvert when it comes to being in crowds or being around people I don't know. So me first knowing what type of event it is, then being able to come up with 1 or 2 ways to introduce myself and to start a conversation with others. So you're not just sitting in the corner and not being active within the event. Like I said, this helps with introverts or people who may be nervous when around people they don't know. It can be very simple. Like I said, it can be something as simple as, hey, my name is Joshua Lazenby. I'm the owner of Journey Away Photography. What brings you to this event today? And then that kind of helps. They know a little bit about you. They can be like, well, I came to this event for X, Y, and Z. And then they can also say, okay, what kind of photography do you do? And that can start a conversation and get you guys talking and potentially connecting with each other. Make sure you are listening to others while they speak so you can have a response and to see how they may be beneficial to you and vice versa. So you don't want to just talk and look at them and not pay attention to what they're saying. You want to make sure you're paying attention to what they're saying, that you're listening to comprehend and to ask questions if you don't comprehend or if you're interested in something that they talked about, or so you just won't look dumb after they finish talking and you have nothing else to say. So definitely pay attention to what they are saying. This is very important. Definitely at a networking event. Be open to talk to anyone and everyone at the event. You never know who they may know, or you never know who you may meet. Just because they don't look like a person you'd be interested in, or they don't sound like a person you'd be interested in, or they don't dress the way like a person you think you'd be interested in, you never know what they know, and you never know who they may know, because just because you might not be interested in them, they might know someone who can help you with the goals you have and the reason and the purpose why you were at the event. They might know someone who can help you get further within that. So be open to talk to everybody and try to talk to as many people as you can while you're at the event. Now this is for if you're trying to network with outside like an actual event, like maybe you're at the library or you're at the grocery store or you're at a restaurant. The main thing that I think you should know is try to sound like a salesperson. So if you're seeing somebody at a grocery store and you're just walking past them, don't just start up a random conversation trying to sell or making it sound like you're trying to sell them something, because most people are turned off by that. I know I'm definitely turned off by that, because I don't know if you ever been to like outside at a park, or even sometimes at like Walmart, they might have like salespeople trying to sell you like internet services or whatever, and I'm completely turned off by that. If I wanted just internet services, I would have had it or looked it up myself. I personally don't need that kind of person to come up to me to try to sell me something in the first place. So definitely you don't want to come up to them and sound like a salesperson. You want to try to make it as organic as possible when it comes to trying to network with people outside of an actual networking event. So if you're both looking, an example would be like if you're both looking at the same item at a grocery store, if you're both looking at a book at the library, you both might be able to have a short conversation based on the item, and then it can evolve into other conversations as you guys talk to each other. So don't just come up to random people and start talking to them. It should be something like really organic and just like happen because either you're in the same aisle as them, or you both are looking at the same item, or you overhear them. Well, I won't say you overhear them because that's kind of creepy too. But like I say, it should be organic. It shouldn't be like you just forcing it, especially at a grocery store. You don't know what people are on. What else did I want to say about that? One thing you can tell that is not proper networking, I should say, if it looks like it's just a one-sided conversation. So if you're just asking questions and they're not like answering your questions or showing interest in what you're trying to say, it looks more like you're bothering somebody than trying to network with them. So again, it should be as organic as possible outside of a networking event, and don't force it. Like you shouldn't go into a grocery store with the purpose of trying to network with somebody. It can definitely happen, but it shouldn't be the main purpose of you going into a grocery store or a library or something like that. But just in case it does happen, I thought I should talk about how you guys can kind of talk and start that conversation. So moving on to number 4 on networking. Where are you networking? Where should you network? And who are you networking with? So let's first start off with where are you networking? So I kind of talked about this already. There are events tailored to networking that can happen at your school, if you're going to school, or within your community. So a couple summers ago, before the pandemic started here in Indianapolis, I listen to the radio when I'm in my car, as long as I'm like not driving long distances. If I'm driving like to school or work or whatever, I listen to the radio. And one of the commercials that came on the radio was about a networking event that they have once a month, and every time it's at a different location somewhere in Indianapolis. After I heard about that, I was like, you know what? I think I should try to go to one of these. So after I heard it probably like 10 or 15 times, I figured out where to look at to find like the location and all that kind of stuff. And I actually went to a few of them. Actually, I went to more than just a few of them. I went to quite a few of them. In every one that I went to, I got something out of it. I got a contact out of it. I got somebody I can work with my photography out of it. I made new connections. I got new people that I can talk to or hang out with outside of networking events. So definitely you can network at networking events that are tailored for networking, I should say. If you are going to a college or a community college or trade school, you should be networking with your classmates, with your professors in the classroom, in student organizations, and within the residence hall. Pretty much anywhere on campus, you should be networking with everyone. This can definitely help when it comes down to like studying for exams, and you have people you can study with, or you have people that you know who are doing really well in the class and they can help you. It also comes in handy when you're looking for a recommendation letter from a professor or someone who had like a faculty member that can give you a recommendation letter because they know who you are and you're not just a student within their class, but you are actually someone that they believe work hard and dedicated towards their work. So those are a few places that I feel you should be networking. Now let's go into who are you networking with. Oh, before I go into that, I said this already kind of, but like I said before, you can network almost anywhere as long as it seems like an organic conversation or two-way conversation. So just to let you know what a two-way conversation is, it is them being as interested as you, or at least as interested as you within the conversation. You're not just sitting there or listening to what you're saying, but they're answering your questions. They're asking you questions. They seem like they're genuinely interested in what you're talking about. You can, like I said, you can almost network anywhere, but when it comes to networking outside of specific networking events, you should definitely make sure it seems like a conversation that both of you are interested in and not just yourself. Now we can go on to who are you networking with. So like I said, you should be if you're a student, you should be networking with students, professors, the staff, so your advisor, professionals on campus, the office receptionist in your department. Pretty much, like I said, anybody you can find on campus, you should try to be networking with them, because you never know what or who they know. Because just because someone is a receptionist doesn't mean that they don't know about a scholarship that they think you might be good for, or a program or internship that you might be interested in. So you definitely should be trying to network with as many people as you can if you're on a college campus. So when other people you should be networking with are like-minded people who have similar goals and ambitions. This can help you when it comes down to being disciplined. You can have people who are in your corner, who are in your community, who are in your circle that can push you to continue the work that you want to do, and don't just fall off because you get unmotivated because of one thing or another. And then vice versa, you should be that person for them as well when they feel unmotivated to accomplish their goals. And then lastly, people and professionals within your industry. So if you did graduate college, or if you are a professional within the industry, you should be trying to network with your colleagues, with your boss, with other people within the industry that maybe work at other companies. And it's not necessary just so you can get a better job or anything like that, but it might be able to help you find a purpose that you want to be a part of within your industry. because just because you can pay well at your position that you're in right now doesn't mean there's not another position or another company out there that can be better for you. So you always want to try to network with as many people as you can within your industry. Again, you can do that not just in person, but on social media like LinkedIn. So just because you can't see someone in person right now doesn't mean you can't network with them right now, because there are so many other avenues to network with people. So we are down to my last thing I want to talk about when it comes to networking, and that is the do's and don'ts of networking. So moving first to the do's, if you're going to an event, you always want to be prepared and prepare ahead of time. So like I said earlier in this episode, if you know what the networking event is for or who is it geared towards, you should definitely prepare some talking points and some conversation starters before you get to the event. Once you are at the event, you should be talking to as many people as possible. Again, you never know who someone knows that is at the event, because you just never know. So definitely talk to as many people as you can when you're at the event. Number 3, know what you want to get out of the event. So first, if you know the purpose of it, then you can know what you want to get out of it. So if it's a job, if it's more clients, it's a partner, whatever it is, know what you want to get out of it, but also be open and listen to everyone who wants to talk to you. So just because you feel like one person can't help you get to what you want to get out of the event doesn't mean they can't. So definitely listen, because like I said, you never know who someone knows outside of the event. And then if you are one of those introverts or one of those people who don't like to talk to people at events like this, definitely go with a friend so you don't have to be alone and you can have someone to talk to, and you're not just sitting there by yourself. So if you can bring a friend, definitely try to bring a friend. And then lastly, look approachable. So have a smile on your face, make eye contact with people, start the conversation. Don't just sit in the corner with a frown with your hands crossed. Then no one will want to come up to you and talk to you. So definitely try to look approachable while you're at the event. Now I'm going to move on to some don'ts. First, don't promise or say you can do something that you can't do or haven't done. So don't be going into events saying you are you can fix somebody's credit, and then they come to you, be like, okay, I want my credit fixed or improved or whatever, and you have nothing to offer them. Then it's gonna make you look like you don't know what you're talking about, which you don't, and then it's going to decrease your credibility. So they could end up bringing it up to other people that they know, and then you can end up meeting those people and they be like, oh, someone told me that you do this, but you really don't, and then that can just make you look bad on so many accounts. So definitely don't promise or say you're gonna do something if you don't know how to do it. Second, don't forget to exchange contact information, especially if you're interested in building a relationship with that person. So again, you don't have to exchange contact information with everybody, because maybe after the conversation you guys didn't really seem like it's a good connection, or I shouldn't say nobody, but there was nothing there for you guys, and it really, the conversation didn't go anywhere. Don't feel like you have to exchange contact information with that person. But if you do feel some sort of interest within that person, or you feel like that person might have some interest in what you're doing, definitely exchange contact information with each other, either during or after your conversation. Number 3, don't forget to follow up with people if you're trying to work with them. So if you did find somebody and you exchange contact information, don't just leave it at that, because if you leave it at that, you did all of that for nothing. So definitely follow up with them. It can be that same day, it can be the next day, but definitely follow up with them. This is not like dating, where people be like, "Oh, you don't call that person until 3 days after y'all met," or something like that. Like, no. If you're interested in that person or that person interested in you, contact them as soon as you can so you guys can get started on whatever you're going to get started on. Because you don't know, they might forget or you might forget, and then nothing ever happens. So definitely follow up with that person as soon as you can. Like, as soon as I got the information from the guy from the Juneteenth event that I went to, my phone wasn't working, so I couldn't like follow him right then. But as soon as I got home, I made sure I followed his gallery page and let him know that I'm interested, and I'm going to contact him when I'm ready to do the gallery, so I don't lose that contact or he don't forget who I am. Number 4, if you go with a friend, don't only talk to the friend the whole event. So when I brought up that if you're scared or you're shy or something, that you should bring a friend, don't just bring them and then that's the only person you talk to. You both should be challenging each other or pushing each other to talk to other people at the event. I mean, you guys can talk to people together. It's not like you have to go talk to somebody. It has to be a one-on-one conversation. A lot of times it really becomes group conversations. Like, it can start off as a one-on-one conversation, and then somebody overhears your conversation or just comes in and start talking, and then becomes a group conversation, which are some great conversations because it's not like you have to be back and forth. Now it can be you, your friend, and somebody else, where it's more people to talk. So that means it's less time that you have to talk if that's something that you're nervous about. So don't just talk to your friend. Have you and your friend go talk to other people together, one-on-one, whatever it is. Just go talk to other people. And my last don't for today is, if you're trying to network with someone outside of an event, I said this before, and I want to continue saying it because I don't want you to go out there looking foolish, and then you say, well, Joshua from the Lazenby Experience podcast told me if I want to network with somebody outside the event, I should go start a conversation with them. No, I did not say that. I said, don't look awkward or don't sound awkward or sound like a salesperson. I said, make it organic. It should be something that, like, you're starting a conversation with somebody because you have something in common or have a common interest. Maybe you saw something within their cart, or like I said, if you saw that they're reading a book that you're interested in, or you saw that you guys were looking at the same book, and then you can start a conversation and start networking there. But it shouldn't be just a random person you tap them on the back and be like, hey, I'm a photographer. What do you do? What are you doing here? Well, they're not there to talk to you. They're there to do whatever they're supposed to be there for, or they're there for. So don't make it awkward. Don't be a salesperson. But those are my 5 things about networking I thought was very important for you guys to know. But before I let you guys go, just want to give a little advice of the week. The first piece of advice, this is for my introverts and people who are shy. If you are a shy person and you're going to a network event going to a networking event makes you nervous, I just said this, try to bring a friend who can help you along the way. Like I said again, don't bring a friend, or I didn't say this, but I would suggest don't bring a friend that is also shy and scared of talking to people, because then you're both just going to be in the corner talking to each other instead of talking to other people. But unless you are both there because you're trying to get over the fear of not talking to people or talking in large groups or whatever, then maybe you guys can go together and then challenge each other to talk to new people. But if you're just trying to bring somebody there because you're scared and that other person is also scared and they're not trying to go to the event or whatever, it's not going to turn out good, because neither one of you are going to talk to someone else outside of you two, and it basically going to waste going to that networking event. So definitely bring somebody who you feel will help you talk to other people instead of just talk to you. Advice number 2, try to come prepared as possible to any networking event. So whether you're shy, whether you're extrovert, whether you love talking to people, You should definitely come prepared with some talking points. You should definitely come prepared with some ways to introduce yourself or start conversations, because that just make everything easier and makes it flow when you get there and start talking to people. And then my last piece of advice for this week: be open and talk to everyone. I said this a couple times throughout this episode, but you never know who that person may know. And of course, you're not just trying to talk to them just to figure out if they know somebody, but you should be trying to talk to them to build a relationship. And the relationship is two ways. It's not just you trying to get something from them. It's also figuring out if there is something you can give to them or help them with, or maybe a connection that you can send to them. So definitely be open to talk to everybody, because you don't know who they know. But then also don't just be trying to talk to them because you're trying to figure out if they know somebody. Also be there trying to help someone as well, because that's how you build a community. That's how you build connections and relationships that can last or help you be successful with whatever you're trying to work on. So that's the end of this episode number 9. I just want to say thank you for staying tuned and listening to this episode of the Lazenby Experience podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this episode, or you just want to say hi, I appreciate those too. You can email me at lazenbyexperience@gmail.com. That's LAZENBY experience@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe on all platforms. That's including Facebook, that's including YouTube, that's including Apple Podcasts, that's including Spotify. It's including everything, anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Go ahead, hit up the Lazenby Experience podcast. Also know season 1 is still available on all those platforms as well. So go ahead, if you haven't already, you can listen to those episodes as well. Lastly, if you like to read more than you like to hear my voice, I have a blog post, or I have a blog with posts of each episode. So if you like to read, or you find reading more enjoyable than listening to a podcast, I want to make this information available to you as well. So if you go to lazenbyexperience.wordpress.com, you will find blog posts around this episode and every other episode within this season there as well. But you will also find other things or other blog posts, because I started my blog before I started this podcast. You'll find other blog posts I have written a long time ago, but it also can be helpful for you in today. So please check that out. Let me know what you think. And as always, until next time, continue your journey until you reach your success. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Lazenby Experience podcast. I hope you're able to get something out of it to help you with your success. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, like, share, and subscribe on all platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, and Apple Podcasts at the Lazenby Experience. Have questions about this episode, or have topics you would like me to cover in the future? Send me an email at lazenbyexperience@gmail.com. That's LAZENBY experience@gmail.com. Lastly, I would like to give a huge shout out to Jamari Michael of Indigo Entertainment Group for the instrumentals you heard throughout this episode. Again, thank you for listening to the Lazenby Experience podcast, and until next time, continue your journey until you reach your success.